Hello everyone, it's DuckFairy07. Today we are playing Sultai crabvine brew with Insidious Roots and Surveillance. Both of these cards have felt like incredible upgrades for this archetype. Insidious Roots in right deck can be like absolutely insane card that takes over the game very quickly, but Surveillance have also felt very important pieces in this list, and I really like them. Okay, so before these new cards we got Souls of the Lost. That was like huge upgrade for this archetype, and also before that we got Pylon, great card for the sideboard, even for the main board. And yeah, all these new cards make me feel like this archetype feels very competitive and much better than it was few months ago or a year ago. Okay, so that's it. On the sideboard we have some counter spells, we got some artifact enchantment hate, we got some cascade hate, and that's about it. So let's check out the matches. Okay, so I think this was one of the craziest matches from the league, so we are going to start with that. Okay, so playing second, keeping decent land. I have Souls of the Lost. Souls of the Lost are like good enablers, but also like they can be a huge threat, especially when you have a turn 1 mill like Venture Deeper. So I was able to mill 4 here, put Gravecrawler in the graveyard. This makes my souls already a 5/6. Next turn even bigger. So now I find my basic, I play the souls 7/8, and I also get to discard the BloodGhast. Pretty neat. Next turn I get to play the Amalgam and bring back the BloodGhast, and also surveil and also bring back the Amalgam. That's pretty sweet. So I play the souls as 8/9 here. I should have attacked first, then do this thing, but it ended up being good anyway. I also failed with abilities. Should have first surveilled, then used the BloodGhast abilities. So this way I would get both Prized Amalgams end of turn. I was just too quick about this, didn't think much. So I just clicked on it and I forgot I won't be able to like get the second Amalgam immediately. I have to wait for their turn, and in the meantime they got Nihil Spell Bombs, so I lost my Amalgam indefinitely here. Okay, so opponent makes my Souls of the Lost 1/1, 0/1, but they're very easy to pump in this deck. So I was able to play Secretkeeper and Supplier, grow my souls to 8/9. Also finding Gaze, BloodGhast and Amalgam in graveyard. So then I go in upkeep for I go for a Gaze, and I find lethal with a Wonder. I just put all 3 of my cards in the graveyard, so I have exactly 15 in the air, and that is it for the opponent. Win in game 1. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so I was doing different stuff with the sideboard, trying out some things, as this was my first and only league with this deck. So I trimmed 1 Roots, I trimmed 1 Gravecrawler Amalgam, just trimmed a bunch of cards, one off, to bring in some cards I needed for this matchup. This was like a Jund saga. So this time I started with Insidious Roots, and Insidious Roots like really went crazy here. We will see next turn. I really wanted double black because I had a double Stitcher Supplier here. So I find a Hedron Crab here. I go for a fetch, find survey land, then find amoebas. Each amoeba trigger roots separately. Okay, so now I surveil and then play the Stitcher Supplier, bring back a Vengevine, and then triggers roots again. And then I mill 3 more. And yeah, so now end of turn, I bring back another Amalgam. Amalgam triggers Roots again, so I get 3 plant tokens. Opponent goes for Totsis, takes Vengevine, don't know why, but they took Vengevine, which is fine for me. So here I use the BloodGhast ability again, do another Roots ability, and go for the pylon, kill their only blocker, just swarm the board with infinite creatures. I play the Secretkeeper here, bring back another Vengevine, just a crazy hand here, and then Amalgams come back end of turn, both of them triggering Insidious Roots separately. That's really important for this build. All of these cards you play trigger Roots separately. Roots save whenever one or more creature cards, so that is important, that you trigger it separately for each creature every time. And yeah, here just swarm the board with infinite threats, have lethal this same turn, and also they'll have flying too. So that is it. Quick win against a Junt. So let's now watch other games. Okay, so was playing second again. I started off with 2 survey lands, which is okay, but yeah, mostly you want like 1 survey land. Here I find Narcomoeba, and I would play tap land anyway, so having a survey land in a situation like this seemed like really good. I really like it. Okay, here I was able to surveil again, leave a land on top, mill 3, and yeah, put BloodGhast and Vengevine and Gaze in the graveyard. Feels great. Now my opponent has a Doughty Voidwalker, so I don't have any removals in the main, which means I just have to win this fairly. And I had Insidious Roots, so I decided to make 1 token here by bringing back BloodGhast and then just playing a Gravecrawler and just try to play fair cards and try to win in a fair way here. Then I play the Stitcher Supplier and I go for a Narcomoeba, getting another plant token and putting counter on all my plants. So now I get to attack with the plant and my creatures. We trade for the Vengevine, which is okay. Opponent is now doing the Fable ability and my board is starting to get bigger and bigger here. Yeah, unfortunately, I had some options here. I decided to do the Surveil and pay mana for a Vengevine with a plant token. So another Vengevine was great here. It enables me to attack with haste and go in for lethal. Opponent concedes. I win game 1 in despite of Doughty Voidwalker, and yeah, this is probably like one of the hardest matchups for this deck. And the good thing is like really that the scam has fallen off a lot, so that's really good news for this deck. Here opponent also had a Leyline of the Void and they also played Doughty, so very hard situation. When they start, I boarded in just Tira Sanders for this game too. No, just Havar Mites, sorry, just Havar Mites. Didn't bring in Tira Sanders, but they started off with the Leyline, so this means I have to find my Might to be able to do something here. And in meanwhile, they also have Doughty Voidwalker, so double hate, pretty hard to win this early. So my opponent plays explosives, kills my entire board, and quickly I just concede. Didn't have much chance. So let's check out the game 3. Okay, so now opponent didn't have that much hate this time. I started off with mill 4, put 2 Narcomoebas in play on turn 1. So definitely different game. I went for the breeding pool here. I was thinking about potentially hard casting Vengevines, something like that. But here I was able to discard Vengevine and attack with 1 Narcomoeba, just if they have removal. I wanted to stay back with Amoeba. Opponent now has a Doughty Voidwalker, and I find a pylon in great timing here. Then surveil Gaze and play the Secretkeeper here as a blocker for Ragavan. Next turn I can play Supplier plus Might to trigger Vengevine and put myself in a really strong situation, also growing my Souls of the Lost in process. So I triggered the Vengevine and attack with 2 large creatures here. Also Narcomoebas going in. Opponent has a Bowmaster, so they get to trade with Vengevine, jump the souls, but they can't jump infinitely, so Vengevine again in graveyard. Yeah, here I go for a Gaze. Here I go for a Gaze, play a land, bring back BloodGhast. And yeah, attack for a lot of damage here. Again, my opponent has a Bowmaster, so again they do the jumping. But I'm in like a really good situation here. Also I left the Secretkeeper on top. Unfortunately, my opponent takes a Stitcher Supplier from my hand, which means I can't trigger the Vengevine, but yeah, my hand is still like really good, so it's okay. I attack for lethal here, opponent has to jump again. Also, like, they kill my Stitcher Supplier, but I get Narcomoeba and Amalgam, so even better. And opponent can't deal with Souls of the Lost, and they concede. That is the match against Scam. Okay, so let's check out match number 3. Most of the games were like pretty fast. Okay, I had to mulligan that one, obviously. I bottomed the Wonder. You always mostly want to bottom the card that you want to mill and don't want to have it in your hands, so it was a pretty easy choice. Okay, like as I said, I really like this turn 1 survey land, and then turn 2 into Hedron Crab plus fetch plus another 1 mana creature. This seems like pretty strong. Here I milled 6 cards, and I decided against playing Stitcher Supplier here. I wanted to save him as a creature to maybe try bring back Vengevine with it. So now I have 2 Amalgams in the graveyard and Insidious Roots in hand, and this way I can trigger a lot of Roots abilities. Okay, I go for a second Roots, then play the Surveil land. I draw the Hedron Crab, so I didn't play the Roots this time. I had what I felt was a better play here. I also got Amoeba back, and I triggered both of my Amalgams, and then play the Supplier to bring back Vengevine. My plan initially was to play the Roots, but Hedron Crab was like really good top deck, so I decided to go a different way this time, and I attack for 6, put them on 12, get back both of Amalgams, and I have a lot of damage. Next turn I think this is lethal, and opponent can't handle all of this, so that is game over. Okay, let's check out very quick win game 1 against Domain Zoo. They only played Territorial Cow and conceded on turn 3. Okay, so here it is, game 2. Let's check out the sideboarding plan. I want my pylons. Pylons have been really good, really impressed with this card. I would consider trimming one. I often trimmed 1/4 roots, which makes me think I would maybe like to play just 3 roots in this deck. I think that is definitely an option. Here I think I even trimmed the 2, but yeah, I mostly wanted to trim at least 1, so maybe playing 3 seems better. But for testing purposes, first I wanted to go with 4 of those. Okay, so other than that, Pylon, really important card on the sideboard, felt great. Here I'll kill Nishoba Brawler with it, and surveil 2 cards, just feels really incredible. Okay, I got Amalgam, Vengevine, Gravecrawler, BloodGhast, Narcomoebas, a lot of stuff. Here I go upkeep for Gaze. I have 2 crabs doing a lot of milling, and yeah, I can just go for another Gaze. I didn't have any more lands, just a swamp, so I was okay with this. Wasn't really in a hurry to do anything, but here my opponent finds a ley line, which complicates my situation a bit, puts me on 6. And now I mill more cards, and I play a Gaze, and finally find Tear Asunder on top. That was definitely a card I was looking for. Opponent decides against attacking. I think they probably should have attacked here. Yeah, because most of my creatures can't block. They should have attacked with Scion. That was a mistake, and this way they allowed me to tear asunder their ley line and then attack for lethal. They didn't have mana open for removal, so that was easy win against Domain Zoo. Okay, let's check out match 4. A lot of very easy, very aggressive starts, very hard for my opponents to deal with. And here I mulliganed to 5, but I think this deck mulligans well. So mostly when you're doing I think surveillance are good, because you never want to play Stitcher Supplier on turn 1 in a situation like this anyway. Mostly it's better just to save it and then go double Supplier on turn 2, try to find like a Vengevine. Here I decided to go for the souls. This card put Amalgam into the graveyard, and now my opponent didn't play this well. They should have just went for the Sigarda's Aid, and then I'm not sure why they ditched the Sigarda's Aid. Yeah, they had another one, but kind of feels like they played this hammer a bit unnecessary like this. Okay, they didn't draw the second land, and my opponent concedes. That was the game. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, also let's check out the sideboarding plan. A lot of good cards. Engineered Explosives, Pylon, and some, of course, Tear Asunders, Havar Mites. A lot of good cards for this matchup, and a lot of cards to bring in. Did my opponent concede immediately here? I don't think so. I think something happened. I don't remember them conceding like this on their turn. I think the game went back to my turn, and I did the good mill with Hedron Crab, and then they conceded. Yeah, I think I did the mill with Hedron Crab, and I'm not sure right now, but I can't remember them conceding like this. Okay, so sometimes these replays are not like great, but okay. Let's check out game 5. That was... I guess my hammer opponent didn't draw hands they liked, so they quickly ended things there. Okay, so here I have... this is the last match of the league. It was the trophy match. Opponent played the Samwise combo. I had a good start here, Souls of the Lost. Then followed, I could follow it with Otherworldly Gaze. Maybe I think I should have played the Otherworldly Gaze on turn 1. Instead I decided to go for the Survey land on turn 1. I probably should have, yeah, and this was also a mistake. I missed 3 points of damage here. I was thinking about doing something else, but then post-combat decided that I just want to gaze. So I missed 3 points of damage there, which ended up not being relevant, but potentially it could be. Okay, so attacking now with everything. My opponent would be now on 1. So it actually... maybe it would be relevant. Maybe this BloodGhast, if they would be on 10, and this BloodGhast would have haste, and I would have lethal here. Sorry, I would not actually have lethal because my opponent had Orcish Bowmaster, but it would definitely be much better. And here you can see, I think my opponent top decked the Woe Strider because I remember them playing it so incredibly fast when they untapped, so I think they top decked the Woe Strider. They had a Chord of Calling in hand to do the combo, so that was win for the opponent. They just had the thing on turn 3 and I didn't have a removal there, and I was turn 2 late. I had good pressure with souls. A small misplay there could be the difference between win and lose. So okay, so turn 1, venture deeper, finding 2 Narcomoebas, which works well with my pylon. Okay, so I go for pylon there. I didn't want to play the Secretkeeper, want to hold it for the Vengevine, and unfortunately I didn't draw any more of my enablers. So this was like first time actually that I didn't draw any more. I ran out of the enablers very fast here. Okay, so I attacked Grist and just played my third amoeba so I can kill the Grist next turn. Definitely my other option was just to try to attack face, but I really wanted to get rid of Grist. Here again you can see I trimmed 2 roots, trimmed the Gravecrawlers, trimmed 1 Keeper, Gaze. I had a lot of cards I wanted to bring in here, so I had to trim something. Okay, here I graveyard the Wonder, and I should have stayed back with at least with these 2 Narcomoebas, just kill the Grist, and this forced me into playing defensively next turn. Okay, so here I must play like Vengevine here if I want to have a chance of winning. I have a couple of ways to try to find lethal here. With Vengevine next turn I'm very close. Opponent is on 9 here, and they didn't have, they would use it last turn if they had it, but they didn't. So they find again from the top Ranger Captain Fios to find a Viscera Seer here and win the game again with combo. Okay, I didn't draw into... I used my pylon early on the mana dork. Maybe I should have holded this for the late game. But it felt good to do the surveil on turn 2 with the pylon and kill the dork. So not sorry about that, but just needed some better top decks. So I lost the trophy match, but deck felt very strong. I'm really happy with it. As I said in game, I think probably perfect number of roots in this list is probably 3, and I would definitely consider playing 2 pylons in the main. A card felt like really good, and I would consider doing this, just trimming 1 roots and maybe trimming 1 gaze, because we're bringing in a pylon, the card that does a similar thing to gaze but requires some creatures on field to do it. We have a lot of those. I think pylons have a place in main, and I think 3 roots could be ideal. So this would be after this league the version I would try next, and yeah, I really like this one. So that's it. Okay, thank you for watching. A friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe. Tell me how do you feel about roots in a crabvine deck like this. It can really go crazy with in certain games, but sometimes you just have more aggressive plays and you will postpone the roots synergy, and sometimes when you are able to do the Vengevine thing, it's a bit harder to play the deck, definitely, because of the roots. You have to think about a possible plays you have with both with roots and without them, and then think of which of those plays will get you more damage and which can finish the game, and you will go the route in games that you expect to go longer, and try to be aggressive against decks that you really have to win in the early turns. So that's it. Okay, again, thank you for watching. That is it for today, and goodbye.